Have you ever wondered if
An expensive powerlifting belt is worth it. Have you ever wondered? Oh. Yes, have you?
Have you wondered if an expensive belt is really worth it? Have you ever wondered if an expensive powerlifting belt is really worth it? In this video, we are going to go over the differences of a cheap powerlifting prong belt versus an expensive powerlifting lever belt. And we will compare them to see if the expensive one is really worth it and if the cheap one is good enough. In the end, hopefully you'll be able to decide which one is better for you. There are many types of powerlifting belts, but in this video we are going to compare the Strengthshop double prong belt with the SBD lever belt. The reason for that is simple. These two are the only powerlifting belts I have ever used in the past 6 years and I have experience with. When I started going to the gym before powerlifting, I was using one of those Velcro bodybuilding style belts, and after I joined powerlifting and I finally joined my first IPF powerlifting competition, I had to buy IPF approved equipment, and the Strengthshop double prong belt was the cheapest one for me to buy. I didn't have that much money to invest back then, so I found the cheapest option, which was the Strengthshop double prong belt, and that was basically my only option. Also, another positive of the prong belt is that the prong belt is slightly lighter than the lever belt, just because there is no lever on the front, it's not that heavy. And for that reason, transportation or travel can be somewhat easier with a prong belt. The prong belt is a nuke-proof belt that doesn't get destroyed no matter what. I have abused my powerlifting prong belt for the past 5 to 6 years. Nothing happened to it. I threw it on the ground. It absorbed so much sweat. Basically, I wasn't taking care of it that much, but it's still working and you can still train with it even after so much time. The only thing that happened in this past 5 years is that the material around the belt just got torn a bit and the belt got softer over time, but this happens to every belt. It's not only exclusive to this belt. In my opinion, the biggest downside this belt has is that it's harder to put on and off, and especially in competition or where you are preparing for a lift and you're hyping yourself up. If you're a hype lifter like me, you are getting hype, you are putting on the belt and something's off, then you have to unhype yourself, undo the belt, put on the belt again on the correct position, and then rehype yourself. The prong belt, you are just fighting against the rack and you are pulling, especially after a heavy lift where you need oxygen. If the prong belt sounds so good, why would you need an expensive belt that is 4 times the price of the prong belt? After I switched from a bodybuilding belt to the prong belt, I noticed a big difference that I couldn't notice otherwise. I had to put on the prong belt to realize the difference between the bodybuilding belt and the prong belt. And after 5 years, a friend gifted me this lever belt and I had to put it on to notice the difference between the prong belt and the lever belt. That same feeling hit me again and I had to put on the lever belt to realize the difference between the lever belt and the prong belt, basically. The difference in the material and the stiffness and the quality was off the charts. It has a suede layer in the inside so it doesn't slip and a leather finish on the outside. And the lever belt made it much more easier to put it on and off. You just flick the lever, you switch the hole and you just reflick the lever again. And the fit felt much more precise than the prong belt. The SBD lever belt is much different than other lever belts where you have a fixed back hole and 2 or 3 sets of holes. The SBD lever belt has many more sets of holes and you can adjust it as much as you need. And you don't need a screwdriver to unscrew and screw the lever back on again. But the downside of this lever belt is that if you're Larry Wheels and you throw your belt around like crazy, you can break the teeth of the belt, and that's an expensive mistake to make. I have never seen it in person, but I have seen videos of the teeth breaking off, so you have to take much more care of the belt so you don't destroy it. The lever belt is slightly heavier than the prong belt, which makes it a bit harder to transport and travel with it. The biggest difference of these two belts, in my opinion, is that the prong belt and the lever belt have a very big difference on the front. The lever belt has an overlapping front, and the prong belt does not. That means that you have an even distribution of the load all across the belt and not have a weak spot on the front, which makes bracing slightly better. That will mean that if you have an empty spot on the front, you have some energy leak or a weak spot on your brace. So I'm guessing you figured by now which one is better for you, but I'm gonna give you a quick rundown. If you are new and you're experimenting with powerlifting or you have no budget, the safest and cheapest option would be to go with a prong belt. There's not much risk involved, and if you buy a cheap prong belt, basically ensure that you're gonna have a belt for the next 3 to 5 years. And if you decide to stop with powerlifting, which I hope you not, you wouldn't have spent so much money. If you have some experience in powerlifting, you want to go to the next level, you want to buy something that will accompany you along for a very long time, in this case a lever belt would be a good option for you. It will provide you with more core support, and also you are going to do a lot of cool lever flicks. While you're deciding which belt to buy, check this video out and find out why you might be failing your bench press.